All right. So, hello again, everyone. My name is Lacey Hill. I am the College Credit Plus and College Pathway Specialist here for Cincinnati Public Schools. So, I deal with all of CCP, College Credit Plus, over the whole district. I have a great team of CCP coordinators who most are high school counselors as well. So, I think a lot of that team is on the call tonight. So, thank you all for being here. I will have a list of their names at the end of this presentation in case you have follow-up questions um, that you can talk to them in your school. Your student can talk to them in the school. So that way you're aware of who that CCP coordinator is within the school. But again, I deal with it throughout the district. I'm also dealing with some scholarships and pipelines. So a lot of different things college involved here at Cincinnati Public Schools. So again, I'm so happy to have you all here tonight. We've got a lot of information for College Credit Plus. So if you all are ready, we're going to go ahead and get going. So first of all, some of you might be completely new to College Credit Plus, and that is totally fine. So if you're not aware of what College Credit Plus is, what CCP means, maybe you've heard that acronym over and over, and you're like, I don't understand what this is. I've never heard of it before. So College Credit Plus is Ohio's dual enrollment program. So this means students that are in high school and some middle schools, so 7 through 12, who are eligible are able to take college classes while they're still in high school. So these students are getting high school credit, they're getting college credit all at the same time. And the best part is it's free. How cool is that? So textbooks are free, tuition is free, and we'll go over all of those details. But this is a great opportunity for students while they are still in school to get some college credit, whether you're only taking one class or you take full advantage and you get an associate's degree before you graduate, or you rack up a lot of credits. That's amazing. So this opportunity is a great way for students to get the high school and the college credit for free. So digging a little deeper, so I kind of mentioned it, but who? So who is able to participate in College Credit Plus? That's any student, any Ohio student, grades 7 through 12. So these students are allowed to apply to any Ohio public college and some Ohio participating private colleges. So unfortunately, this is not something that if you wanted to get college credit at someplace out of state, so someplace that's not geographically held in Ohio, then this is specifically for Ohio, all public schools and some participating private schools as well. Now, the cool thing is we do already have some students that are actually doing college credit at two different institutions. So they may be getting credit at, just for example, Cincinnati State and at Sinclair. So you can actually do classes at two different places at the same time, which is neat, which there will be a few more details regarding that with a couple of other things that I'm going to go over. So keep an eye out for that. When can we do this? So not only can you do it in grades 7 through 12, but you can kind of do it all year round. So the academic year starts with summer, then it goes to fall, and then to spring. So you are actually allowed to take courses in any three of those semesters, if you will. So any of those time frames. So again, it begins in summer. You can also do it in fall. You can also do it in spring. You can do it in all three. You can do it in one. You can do it in two. Now, that all depends on credits, which we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But you do have the opportunity to take those classes in any three of those time frames. Where? So where can you take these classes? So does that mean I'm going to be a ninth grade student going to college, like actually going on campus? Technically, it could be, but a lot of our courses are actually done as what we call embedded. So these are courses that are done in school. So these are some of your high school teachers that you may already know who are actually qualified to teach college courses in your school. So how cool is it? You can say like, okay, well, maybe like seventh bell, I'm going to take math with this particular teacher. You can do that and get college credit. It does, again, have to be a specific College Credit Plus course, but that is a great opportunity that you can do right there in your high school. You don't even have to leave. The other option is you can do it online. There are online courses, typically all three of those semesters, so summer, fall, spring. And you can also do it on campus. So you can actually go to campus, sit in these classrooms with other college students and potentially some other CCP students as well. So you do have those three options. Again, the most utilized one are those embedded those embedded courses, which are done in your high school. You can do it online or on campus. So lots of different options. You can see that CCP is really flexible and really has a great opportunity for you. So what does being college ready mean? So there's a lot of differences that I'll talk about here in a little bit between high school courses and college courses, a lot of different expectations maybe. So we want our students who participate in College Credit Plus and CCP to be college ready. So what this means is, first of all, maybe these students want a little bit more of an academic challenge. Maybe they're sitting in class in their high school classes and they're like, okay, well, this is great and I am a little bit challenged, but I would like something a little bit more rigorous. CCP is a great option for those students. We also want students to be emotionally and socially ready to transition into college expectations. So again, I'll be going over those expectations here in a bit, but it is different. So for those of you who are on this call, maybe a parent, or maybe a counselor or teacher, whomever you are on this call that have been to college, it's totally different, right? There are a lot of different expectations. And so we want our students who do participate in CCP to be ready for those expectations. Also, students maybe have an above average time management and organizational skills. This is really important, particularly when you're taking college courses, because there are a lot of differences in terms of deadlines and maybe how often things are due, when they're due. So we want students to be able to time manage and have great organizational skills. So be thinking about that as you potentially apply to do CCP. So another thing here is students know how to ask for help when it is needed. That is a great life skill no matter what, right? So if you need help, there are so many different opportunities for support for you or your student. Again, I'll go over a few more of those here in a little bit, but lots of different opportunities, and we want you to ask for help. That is definitely not a weakness. That is actually a strength, right? Being able to recognize that you need some assistance. So being able to ask for help is a great characteristic for students who participate in CCP. So now we're going to go through some steps of how do you do it? How can students participate in CCP? So the very first thing is eligibility, right? So that's pretty important. So there are 3 different options on how to be eligible for CCP. So first of all, 3.0 unweighted GPA. That is important. So in 3.0 unweighted GPA. That is option 1. Option 2 is maybe if you don't quite have that 3.0, but you have somewhere between a 2.75 and a 2.99, again, unweighted GPA, but that also has to be paired with a course or courses that are B or better in the courses that you want to take. So for example, say I've got a 2.83, random number, 2.83, and I want to participate in CCP and I want to do college algebra. Let's say I want to do a math class. So I have to have at least a B or better in those relevant courses. So I have to have taken a math before and gotten at least a B or better in that course to be eligible. Option 3 is qualifying through a college ready test. So you can see a few examples here. So it could be ACT or SAT, could be the AccuPlacer. There's also ALEX. There are all kinds of different things, and that is dependent on the institution, so the college or university that you participate in. So again, those college ready tests, those scores differentiate, but that is another opportunity for you or your student to be qualified or eligible to participate in CCP. The other thing with eligibility is on our side, on the CPS side, we do require, and this is actually a state requirement, but we require the letter of intent. Now, this is very important. This letter of intent does not take long to fill out, but it is very important because during that letter of intent, that signifies to us that you have understood that there are responsibilities on your end, right? Because these are college level courses that you're taking, that you do have time management skills, that you're going to be independent in your coursework with assistance from your high school counselor and some different ways on campus as well. But the point is, this is signifying to us that you realize that you're getting into CCP, that you're starting that ball rolling and getting to participate in these college courses. So the form opens February 15th and it closes. The absolute deadline is April 1st. So that is very important that you do have essentially a month and a half to get that completed. That is an online Google form. Again, it takes a matter of just a few moments to fill that out. So that is on our CPS CCP landing page, and your CCP coordinator will also have that link. Step 2, college admission. So you can't be a college student without being admitted into the college, right? That just makes sense. So students must, in order to participate, they absolutely have to do the application to the college or university that they are interested in doing CCP through. Whether that means you're doing an online course, you're on campus, or you're in your high school, it doesn't matter that mode of learning, you do have to apply to this. And the applications are on each of their websites, which I link later in the presentation. But we do have 4 main college partners that we do this through who are presenting tonight. But you, again, technically you can do these courses through any public, a higher institution, and some private participating ones, but you do have to apply for admission. And in the end, it is up to the institution whether you are granted access to participate in CCP or not. But again, as long as you follow those eligibility rules, you should be pretty good to go. Step 3, course registration. So again, you can't take college courses if you don't register for them, right? You can always apply and get admitted, but you have to register for these courses. So the best way to do that is either attend an orientation that some of these institutions have, but definitely talk to an academic advisor. So we do have academic advisors specifically for our CCP students, I believe at each of our institutions. And so they will be able to instruct you like, okay, how many courses do you want to take? What kind of courses do you want to take? What are you eligible to take? When do you want to take them? So all of these different things, that's exactly what an academic advisor is for. So you will get that guidance from the college academic advisor. And then on the high school side, you'll get that advising from the high school counselor. So you are really lucky because you actually have 2 different advisors, right? So your college one and your high school one. So they're going to lead you down the right path of figuring out which courses to take and how many you're able to take. So course eligibility rules. So this is kind of where we get into a little bit deeper of the details of CCP. So for course eligibility rules, students must complete their first 15 credits in level 1 courses. So just as an FYI for maybe those of you who are not super familiar with college. So in high school, the credits are usually like half a credit, 1 credit, this kind of thing. But in college, typically the courses are anywhere from 2 to 5 credit hours. On average, mostly 3 credit hours. So just to give you an idea of what credits means. So their first 15 college credits in level 1 courses. So transferable credits, that's kind of like your gen eds. So that'll be like English, math, science, history, those kind of fun things. But you can see the other options that you have here in those bullets that I've got listed. So lots of different opportunities for you to take advantage of for these courses. So IT, computer science, maybe a technical certificate, a specific 15 to 30 credit pathway, which I know some of our institutional partners will be talking about here shortly. Anything in career success, so that kind of thing, those are eligible courses. So if you have eligible courses, that does mean on the flip side, there are ineligible courses for you to take. So the non-allowable courses, and please know that this is the ODE, this is Ohio Department of Education, non-allowable courses. So any sort of private course, so if you want to take maybe voice lessons with an instructor there at the college, that's awesome. But unfortunately, that does not fall under the eligibility course rules for CCP. So you're not able to do that. Anything with high course fees, study abroad, phys ed, a few other options there. So those are, they don't really budge on those. So those are definitely non-eligible, non-allowable courses for specifically CCP students. So here is where some math gets involved. I love math, so this is one of my favorite parts. But how many classes can students take? So you might be like, this sounds great. I want to take 5 classes every semester. I love the enthusiasm, but let's figure out some math here. So students may be enrolled up to 30 credit hours per academic year. So again, that's summer, fall, spring. So in order to calculate that, there is this formula here. So again, as I mentioned earlier, high school credits are usually like half a credit, 1 credit, that kind of thing. So you'll take however many high school units, so high school credits that you would take, multiply that by 3. So just for some quick math, let's say you're going to take 6 high school units in an academic year. Well, you'll multiply that by 3, so that's 18. So 30 is the total you can do. So 30 minus 18 is 12. So that is the max CCP amount of credit hours that you can take. And again, with the average of 3 credit hours per class in college, that averages out to about 4 classes per academic year. So that's pretty good. So you could do one during the summer, one during the fall, and 2 during the spring, or however you want to do that. So just keeping an eye out, that is how the calculations are made for that. Now, technically, you can enroll in more than 30 credit hours a year, or a total of 120 overall time that you do CCP. However, if you go over that 30, you do have to pay out of pocket for whatever that is. So for the full course, that would put you over, and then beyond that 30, you do have to pay for that out of pocket. So again, CCP will cover anything 30 credits and under, but the class that puts you over and then beyond, you do have to pay for that if you go over the 30 credit hours. So grading is kind of straightforward. So with these courses, like I said, they are college courses. So final grades earned in the college course are the same grade that will be put on the high school transcript. So it'll be noted that it's done at whatever institution, that it's a college course, but you'll see that on whatever grade you get in that course will be on the high school transcripts. The other thing is the CCP course grades will be factored into the high school and the college GPA. So that's kind of where this next bullet comes in, is grade weighting. So any high school class that is not an advanced standing course, so you can see here CCP, AP, IB, honors, those kind of things, those are what we call weighted courses. So your unweighted GPA or anything other than those courses. So that's kind of how, just briefly, grades are considered or factored into on your transcripts and your GPA. So quick side note here, selective service. This is a mandate. Any male student who is 18 years or older, so even if you're not 18 years old yet, if you are a male at some point in the future, you will be 18 years old. So keep this in the back of your mind when you get there. So selective service, you do have to register for selective service once you're 18. And that gives you like a registration number. And you do have to present that, give that to whatever college you're doing the courses through. So again, that is state law. You do have to have your selective service number. There is a website. I actually just looked it up today. Super easy. Just Google selective service and it should be the first link that pops in. So again, if you are 18 years or older and you are a male, then you do have to do that selective service number. So here's where I was talking about getting into high school versus college. So you can kind of see here, I won't go verbatim through all of these, but there's a huge difference between high school and college. There's a lot more expected out of college students. So that's why I say it's so important that we want our students to be college ready. We want them to understand that this is, what they're expected to do. So there's a huge difference between the study time, right? In high school, I remember maybe I didn't take a lot of books home during high school. It just I didn't study a whole lot because I did it a lot during the day, right? But in college, you got to study a lot more. You got to take your books home. You got to do all these things. That's pretty typical in college. So another one I want to point out is tests. So typically in high school, there's a test maybe every week, at least every other week, homework all the time, right? You got all these things that are due, but in college, typically those things are less frequent, but they are more of your grade and they cover more material. So there could be courses that there's only a midterm and a final, but then there could be some courses where there's a lot of homework that goes into the grading plus a couple of tests. So it just really varies in college, but it is definitely different than high school. A few more things here. The grading, I kind of went into that just a second ago, but roles of the parents, guardians, supporters. In high school, usually they are a pretty big stem of support, but in college, you are much more independent. So you are definitely responsible for your academics. You are in charge of your grades. You're in charge of keeping track of those in terms of, and then in charge of your classes, things like that. So you are very, very responsible, must be responsible and independent in college. So again, I won't go through all of these, but lots of differences between high school and college and just making sure that students are college ready. So some benefits of CCP. So You can earn high school and college credits. I already mentioned that, which is great. It gives you also a head start in career planning and with your college credits. So you can already enter college with, just for example, maybe already 6 credit hours or 12 credit hours. That would be awesome, or even more, right? So you're already getting into those classes and knocking those out while you're in school, while you're in high school. And again, doing those for free, which is pretty cool. So that goes into the saving on tuition and textbook cost. One thing I do want to mention before I move on this slide is when you are a CCP student, you do also get the benefits of being like a traditional student on campus. And by that, I mean you get access to the library, you get access to tutoring, mentoring, advising, all of those things, right? So that's what traditional college students get as well, but you get those access to those as a CCP student too. So what are the consequences of underperforming? So I'm going to go through these pretty quickly because we're almost at 6:30. Excuse me. So it is free to students and their families for tuition and textbooks, those kind of things. But families may be asked to reimburse courses if, one, the student does not earn passing grades in their course, so if they fail their courses, or if the student withdraws after the no fault deadline. So this is so important to keep an eye out for deadlines. Excuse me. To keep an eye out for deadlines. Each institution has their own deadline for dropping, so their drop deadline essentially. And if you withdraw from that class before the deadline, you're fine, you're good to go. But if you do that afterwards, we may ask for you to pay for that. Now, please note, if a student is considered economically disadvantaged, we cannot and will not ask for those to be reimbursed. But just as an FYI, that is one way to have to reimburse. Excuse me. So quickly, there is college credit plus probation. So in order to get on probation, your cumulative GPA must fall below a 2.0. Unfortunately, that does happen sometimes. And I do want to point out that this is a cumulative GPA. So this is your cumulative CCP GPA. So again, as I mentioned earlier, if you're taking courses at 2 different institutions, it is your cumulative. So not just one or the other. But while a student is on CCP probation, they may only enroll in one CCP course for the college term. And that course may not be something in the relevance of what they failed before. So for example, if they failed a math class before, the one course that they are able to be enrolled in on probation cannot be a math course. It has to be anything but. If students do not increase their GPA that next semester on the one course that they're taking to a 2.0 or above, they will be dismissed. So while a CCP student is on dismissal, they may not enroll in any CCP courses, and a student is able to appeal that be reinstated in the program. Now, that appealing process is on our CPS CCP landing page, so check that out if you do need to access that form. Hopefully you don't, but just in case if you do, you're able to get that form on our CCP landing site. Excuse me. Just a few more quick things here and we'll go to our college partner. So after high school graduation, these grades that are earned with CCP will remain on the student's college transcript. So that sounds kind of negative, but that can also be a really positive thing, right? If you get an A or a B, you pass the course, that will be on your transcript, which is fantastic for whenever you do go into college. But definitely keep that in mind. If you get a W in a class or if you fail a class, that will be on your transcript. Excuse me. Also, one more quick thing to note out is if students fail or withdraw often, that could negatively impact their future financial aid. So basically, the bottom line is just make sure you pass those classes and you should be good to go. So expenses for CCP. So we do have option A, which you will very likely not do. That is where you pay for the courses. So you can still participate in CCP, but if you do option A, that means that you will be paying for the courses. You, your parents, guardians, supporters, whomever it may be. But option B, that is the default option. So again, that's where everything is for free, right? So tuition, textbooks, that kind of thing. And you can see here on the bottom, this is how I always remember it. So if you see it, option A, you have to pay. Option B, that's for free. So be thinking about that if you see options A and B. Excuse me. What about athletic ability? So If you are an athlete on this call, or if you know someone who's an athlete that wants to participate in CCP, just be sure that you check out the Ohio High School Athletic Association requirements. You do have to be in line with those. You are still definitely eligible to participate, but you do have further guidelines in terms of OHSAA. So will the credits transfer? So if the credits are from an Ohio accredited institution, which they will be if you're participating in CCP, and you want to transfer that to another Ohio public college, you're good. They should transfer. If you want to transfer that to an Ohio private institution, you definitely want to check that out because things might be a little bit different. Also, these can transfer out of state. Just definitely check with the college or university that you're wanting to transfer to see how they transfer, to see if they mainly transfer like just kind of elective credits, or if they are able to be fruitful and be the courses that you took and transfer as such. But again, if you are wanting to transfer in Ohio to another Ohio institution, check that out. Everything should be on their websites. So just like search within their website, CCP, or I'm sorry, college credit transfer equivalencies, things like that. But there is a helpful link down here. And again, I will be sending out this recording and these slides afterwards, so you'll be able to get access to this link. So quickly, the CCP timeline. So attend a CCP info session before February 15th. If you're here tonight, which you are, congratulations, you have already got step 1 done. Step 2, complete that letter of intent that I was talking about. Again, so important. April 1st is that deadline to participate in academic year 24-25. Now, these next few things, just make sure you get these done before your summer break. If you are a student, please be sure you get these done before summer break. Apply as a CCP student. Make sure you do testing if you need to. Attend an orientation if that's available to you, and meet with a college advisor to register for classes. So that way you can have all summer, come back, and you'll be ready to go. And then number 7, begin classes in the fall or the spring if you choose to participate in the spring. Now, here we go. So perfect timing, 6:30. This is great. So now we have our partner presentations, and partners, I'll go ahead and flip the slides for you. But first up, you can see Cincinnati State is enlarged here. So they are first. So I will turn it over to Tara Swart, who is going to tell you all about CCP at Cincinnati State.
Thank you, Lacey. Hello, everyone. It is hard to believe that it has been a year since we were here this time last year having the same conversation. So it's been a great year for CCP, and I'm just so thankful to be invited back. So my name is Tara Sword. I am the College Credit Plus manager at Cincinnati State. And Lacey, if you want to go ahead and kind of go forward. So Lacey did a great job in going over a lot of the nuts and bolts of CCP. And so we've included our whole presentation that she can share out to you here, but I'll kind of jump around through it so we don't kind of repeat a lot of the things. So a lot of the things that she mentioned are really important. On this slide, a couple of things that I do want to highlight for you, just to reiterate how important it is to put your best effort into CCP and make sure you're ready to commit to that. Because like Lacey mentioned, it is going to follow you. It's going to establish your college GPA wherever you are attending, and it can impact future things like your satisfactory academic progress, which is linked to financial aid, as she shared. The other thing that we want to make mention of is really evaluating what the best format is for you in terms of those online, on campus, or in your high school options. If you're someone who really has struggled with 100% online coursework, then maybe having that conversation with your counselors before you commit to that to make sure it's really something that you're ready to take on fully. That way you are setting yourself up for success. One other thing that we always like to mention that can be a little bit tricky, especially for first-time CCP students, is the balance of your college schedule versus your high school schedule. They don't always align. Things like breaks, so fall break, spring break, when classes begin and end, they don't always line up. And so it can create a little bit of a tricky scheduling sometimes. If you are a student that is heavily involved, does a lot of extracurriculars, you also want to be mindful of that. Because in college, just like high school, it's expected that if you sign up for an in-person class, you're going to be there for that class. The other thing on this page I do want to make mention of, Lacey touched on different types of weighted credit a little bit, but I think it's really important that as you're deciding to embark on this CCP journey, that you do weigh out what is the best option for your student. Is it CCP or is it AP if you're considering both? And with CCP, I think some of the benefits to always keep in mind are, not having to take the AP test at the end of the year can make a difference for kids that maybe are not as strong of test takers as others. Credit can be weighted similarly by most school districts. Transferable credit can also be very similar. The other thing to consider with CCP is a lot of times you can do a course in a semester instead of taking the whole year like it does with AP. So those are some of the things that you do want to weigh out. Go ahead and you can switch it, Lisa. So things to know specifically about Cincinnati State. Lacey mentioned the 30 credit hours of eligibility that you have as a CCP student. If you do exceed that and decide to take additional courses with Cincinnati State, the cost per credit hour is $41.64 per hour. So an average class of 3 credits comes out to like $124 and I think like 92 cents. So even if you exceed that, it can still be a reasonable option if that works for your family to be able to keep that momentum going. Now, obviously, that's something you want to talk to your counselors about. You want to make sure you're working with your college advisors on, but it is always an option to consider if you do exceed, and price wise, there you at least know what it would be at Cincinnati State. Like Lacey shared in her presentation so thoroughly, it gets you the chance to really get a good jump start and launch yourself forward. At Cincinnati State, we offer all 3 modalities, all 3 format options online. We do have a lot of CCP students on campus, and then, of course, we do offer the traditional in your high school, a lot of CPS high schools, actually, which I'll talk about here in a second. So we echo very much what Lacey shared. We are open enrollment at Cincinnati State, so we will work with you as best we can through the admissions process. So our criteria do align very closely with that. So that 3.0 GPA kind of links automatically to eligibility to participate in CCP. That 275 to 299, again, with those A's and B's and related coursework. And then all the test scores. We do AccuPlacer, so you can take that at your high school. A lot of your counselors and Lacey are certified to administer that. You can come to the campus and take it, or we can talk about other options. One thing that I think is really important to note is eligibility to participate is a little bit different than course eligibility. So once you meet that eligibility to participate, then our advisors start to look at your grades and transcripts to make sure that they're getting you in the best class. And here's the best part. So Cincinnati State is very lucky to be able to offer classes in so many of the CPS buildings. So what I've done here is just done a quick breakdown of the buildings that we are in with the teachers in that building teaching those courses in most instances, so you can see what is being offered. So here you'll see our offerings for Aiken, Clark, Euler, and Riverview East. We're doing some expansion at some of those schools, and here you'll see Hughes and Schroeder. The most common are going to be English, math, and sciences are going to be our most common course offerings. You'll see that some are a little bit heavier in one of those areas compared to others, and that's okay. They try to kind of tailor to what their students are looking for. And then I have one more page. Let's see if you want to slide to the last one. And then here are the offerings for Taft, Walnut Hills, Western Hills, Withrow, and Woodward. So we are working with all of those schools, all of those counseling teams, all of those instructors to try to bring CCP into the building for you. And at Cincinnati State, Lacey did reference the 15 and 30-hour pathways. We look at things just a little bit differently. We want you to think about it in terms of what does it mean to be a full-time student in an average freshman year of college. And the marker for that typically set by the Department of Education when it comes to federal financial aid. Unfortunately, not in SCPA at this time, but we do have a lot of students that are doing online with us that do attend that building. So we can definitely talk more about specifics if you have questions. But we like to look at it in terms of what is a light first semester for a student, which a lot of students, that's 12 to 15 credit hours, depending on the load that they're taking. A light first year can be 24 credits. And then, a light certificate year and a half can be around 36 credit hours at Cincinnati State. And I'll show you on the next slide how you can think about that in terms of your gen eds. So this is how we like to encourage students to explore CCP. Our big thing that we tell people is take it once and use it twice. So think about the things that are going to meet your college graduation requirements for your future degree programs, those really core general education things, and the things that also then kind of double dip into your high school graduation requirements. So here are some options that we would encourage you to consider as you're getting started. Things like English composition 1 and 2, social sciences, behavioral sciences like psychology, sociology, social sciences like government, which is our POL 101, or a history class. And then if you know the direction that you want to go, let's talk about more kind of tailored options, maths, sciences, maybe even some electives to dip in there with to really help you start exploring. And here's what our process looks like. So ideally, you'll see our timeline there at the bottom for fall. To echo what Lacey said, it's really important that you complete these steps before you head out on summer break. That way you're ready to go when you come back for the fall. So step 1 is to complete that CCP application on the Cincinnati State website. Make sure that you're doing the dedicated CCP application, and it is labeled as such. You'll ask your counselors to send over your high school transcript, so we have that on file, and that's all we need to get you admitted. Beyond that, we will ask you to complete your CCP permission slip and your CCP questionnaire, which are required by the state. We do offer foreign language courses. Spanish, we have in quite a few buildings. We also offer that online and on campus. And then we do have French online as well. So it just so happens that ASL is one of our more popular options in the building. Okay, Lacey, I'll go ahead and let you flip that. Here is, again, where you can go to complete the process. So not if they did not complete the intent form or receive special permission from the district, Nick, to your question. So if they did complete last year's intent form, then talk to your counselors. Anything's possible on our end that's okay with them, but we always defer to them. But there's the QR code if you want to scan it so you can get to that website, and it'll be in the presentation when it gets linked up on the webpage. But remember, just start as early as you can, get those credits, and save all the money that you can when you get to college. And then if you've already applied, here's just a quick run through. Again, like I just mentioned, the high school deadlines are crucial. We've got to get those intent forms done. Do all of your college paperwork for whatever schools you're going to be attending. And then we do our own orientation advising session. You'll meet with our advisors, and then you'll be able to get registered for those courses. Again, if you're going to take classes only in your high school, you don't have to attend our traditional orientation, but you'll work with your counselors instead to get signed up for those. Are the ASL courses and interpreter courses different? Slightly different, yes. So we have beginner ASL, intermediate ASL, and advanced that focus more on the conversational aspects of American Sign Language. And then we do have separate interpreting courses that lead to an interpreter training program that are geared towards how to interpret and relay that message to others, on behalf of others, I should say. So they are slightly different. Okay. So if for some reason you have a student that has an IEP or 504 plan, we just linked our disability services website. We do offer some accommodations depending on what the student's plan says. So you'll want to get that to us sooner than later. And then if you want to flip it one more time, there is my contact information. There's my lead academic advisor and coordinator, Sue Kowalski's information. So that will be in the presentation for you. And we are looking forward to another awesome year of CCP with CPS. And then to answer that one last question, so the summer 24 deadlines, They would still have to do the intent form by April 1st. They would need to apply realistically by March 1st. For us, that is when registration opens, around the middle of March. So we'd want you to have those things kind of taken care of by, I would, March 15th or so. That way you can go to orientation and get registered while there's still lots of options. But thanks for having me, guys.
All right. Thank you so much, Tara. See, this is great information. Thank you very much. If there are more questions in the chat, we'll just keep an eye out for those and answer those in the chat. Next up in our partner presentations is UC, and we have Gianna Johnson here, who is going to speak on behalf of UC.
Awesome. Excuse me, guys. I have a cold, so I am definitely pushing through this presentation. So forgive me if my voice sounds a little clogged, but I will do my best to get through this as quickly as possible. So I am Gianna Johnson, and I am an academic advisor for CCP here at University of Cincinnati. I also am an adjunct professor as well. So I'm looking forward to working with any potential students that will be applying at UC for CCP. So we're going to talk about some advantages with UC specifically. So we're obviously an institution renowned for its academic excellence. We are ranked in the top tier of the country's best national universities. But some of the options that is great for us is that obviously there's free undergraduate applications for all CPS students. Also for those who are doing any CCP courses through us, the waivers or any fees are waived for applying to UC. You have all access to any of our academic support labs and learning commons, which is like our tutoring spearhead. And then we have individual one-on-one academic advising, which for us is mandatory every semester that any student intends to take a CCP course. We have tons of clubs and organizations that any of our CCP students can and do take advantage of participating in now currently. I have a lot of students who do research and internship opportunities as high school students in various fields such as pre-med field, any type of foreign language, things like that. So if there's something that they're interested in, 9 out of 10, there is a project or a research opportunity that they can definitely get some experience in if that's something that they're passionate about pursuing in the future as well. Also, you have access to our accommodations department, which is the accessibility resources. So if you do have an IEP or a 504B plan, this would be a great time to get those accommodations set up for your college courses, as well as access to our libraries across all 3 campuses, our computer labs across all 3 campuses, and again, saving money and time towards a degree and exploring many possibilities that your students may be interested in. Of course, you can take classes on campus or online across all 3 of our campuses. So main campus in Clifton, Claremont, and Blue Ash, as well as any of the online options. Of course, meeting any of the prerequisites or enrollment requirements for that particular course. And again, options are limited to the first 15, which we want your first 15 to be in level 1 approved courses. Anything after your first 15 opens the door for you to kind of explore level 2 courses, and basically level 2 courses are courses that are just not designated as level 1, simply put. So definitely the world is your oyster when it comes to UC's many courses and ranges of degree plans. We do have some CCP options in the CPS buildings. So we have classes at SPCA, also at Walnut and Withrow. And as you can see, those range depending on what their students' interests are. So that's why they don't look necessarily the same for each school. We also have an early IT program that many students from across many different CPS schools take advantage of. So if that is something that your student has interest in, you would definitely be linking with our early IT partner, and they will go over that with you, but you'll also get the advising component from us as a CCP academic advisor. Next. So in this case, what to expect, of course, you'll do your applications. All of our deadlines are the same across the board, I think, for the most part. So I know Tara kind of mentioned that already for those who are interested in spring. Unfortunately, you've already met that deadline unless you've already got your paperwork in and already in motion. Then that means that your potentially going to be meeting me for orientation and then your advising appointment. If not, then you'll be doing your intent forms for possibly the summer and or for fall or for spring next year. After you have turned in all your necessary paperwork and we have received your transcript, we will of course provide you with the decision, and then you will attend, no matter if you're doing a embedded course at your high school or you're doing your classes through our campus or online, you do have to attend the UC's orientation. We really have a lot of nuts and bolts that are specific to UC's program. So we really want to make sure that all students are understanding what they have access to and how UC's programs work specifically at UC. And then, of course, you would meet for your advising appointment and then you would enroll in your courses. Again, your own application should already be in if you are definitely anticipating doing anything for the spring. But if not, you still got some time to get your paperwork in for the future upcoming school year. You need your permission slip, of course, and then, of course, your counselors, as Tara said, will send in your transcripts. And again, eligibility requirements. So for the most part, if you have a 3.0 GPA or higher, you're automatically admitted with no problem. If you kind of fall into that unweighted range of the 2.75 to 2.99, then if you're talking about doing it on campus with us in person or online, we're going to need to see at least a B or better in at least one high school English and at least a B or better in at least one math. Or your ACT or SAT scores can be submitted as well for qualification. If you're going to do an embedded high school course only, then a 3.0 will get you in the door or higher right away, or we'll look at your 2.75 to 2.99. And again, we would need a B grade better in at least one high school English course or math as well. Same applies with the scores, could also get you qualified. We also have some additional innovative program waivers. These are for students that may be admitted to the CC program, even if they don't meet necessarily the minimum eligibility requirements. We do have some innovative waiver programs currently in motion at Withrow and at SPCA and at Walnut Hills, and that is coming up. I think that's already started or going to be for the next upcoming school year. So if that is something that you're so interested in, maybe you don't meet the requirements and you're at one of those schools, definitely consider talking to one of us. We're more than happy to kind of assist you in determining if maybe doing one of the innovative waiver programs would be best for you. And then also, after you attend your virtual orientation, you will meet with your assigned academic advisor. That's who you'll have for your entire time in your CCP program here at UC. If needed, you can do the math placement or English placement test, and that really depends on the course. So specifically, English Comp 1, you would need to do that unless you have ACT or SAT scores. If not, then the only other time you take a test is if it's for math or some science classes, not all. So we can definitely have that conversation individually with you as needed when we meet with you during your advising appointments. For our math, we use Alex. So some high schools may be familiar with that already. And for the English placement test, we have a 20-minute assessment that we give out. Those are both done online at your own time, and you can retake multiple times if needed. And again, application deadlines, as we've already stated, for those who may be interested in the summer, definitely recommend getting that stuff in earlier once the summer application opens. Again, April the 1st is the deadline for that. For those who are interested in fall, June 1st will be the deadline. And then again, if anybody is choosing to wait until spring of 2025, then it'll be November the 1st. And lastly, here's our team. We actually have 2 more advisors coming on board, so we're excited about that. But you have our director, Lori Bishop, our assistant director, Chris McNay, our program coordinator, Valerie Stabler, and then Abby Burkhart, who's our program coordinator, myself and Casey as the academic advisors. And we have our links to our website and also our email address if you need to inbox any general questions. More than happy to answer that anytime, and looking forward to assisting you guys and meeting with you all, whoever's interested with UC. Thank you so much for allowing me to present.
All right. Thank you so much, Gianna. So also just as an FYI, if you have questions or anything, please feel free to put them in the chat, or there will be a time for questions at the end of this presentation as well. So next up, we do have Sinclair College, and we've got Jillian Sasha, who's going to present on behalf of Sinclair.
Thanks for the introduction, Lacey. So I'm Jillian Sasha, the Sinclair CCP coordinator. I was a former CCP student myself and also graduated from Sinclair, so I love having the opportunity to help students now on their educational journey. So why choose Sinclair? It is highly accessible. We have 5 campus locations: Mason, Englewood, Huber Heights, Centerville, and Dayton, our main campus. We also have over 160 courses online and embedded in many high schools. At SCPA, there is English Composition 1 and 2. We also have college algebra as well as pre-calculus. College algebra and pre-calc are also running at Spencer Center, and at Gamble Montessori we have English composition as well. We also have many different transfer agreements with colleges like UC, Miami, Franklin, OSU, and more. What transfer agreements mean is they are your first 2 years or less through the help of CCP would be with Sinclair. And then we have certain articulation agreements where whole degree programs or a set amount of classes will be a direct transfer or parallel to prepare you to go to the next 4-year school or university. We have lots of different programs, over 220 degree and certificate programs. We have career degrees, which are more so to prepare students for a career directly in the workforce, and then the career degrees and then certificates that will prepare you to go on to a 4-year college, like with the transfer programs. I also want to highlight that we have a free to finish scholarship through Sinclair, where if a student earns 24 credit hours, this can be with transfer credit and AP from other colleges, but they do need to have an established Sinclair GPA of over 2.5 or higher. The application process starts online by going to apply.sinclair.edu and filling out the online application. They'll have to create an account first and verify their email. And then after submitting, the next steps are through the high school. Actually, we have a partner portal with the CCP contacts at each of the high schools to determine their eligibility. They let us know their GPA and also Carnegie units in math and English, and then if further placement testing is needed. And the students will get an email when they've submitted the application, and they'll also get another email when it's processed. When it's processed, that means they do have a Sinclair login, so they are able to start registering for classes and or taking placement testing or registering for academic advising. For Sinclair CCP eligibility, you have to have a 2.75 GPA or placement testing. We do utilize multiple measures, so the Carnegie unit information for math and English also comes into play. If you do not meet the requirements, there's the right place for tests that you can take, which we look for a 5 or higher or a 4 with recommendation. And for math and science, we use the ALEX, which many other colleges do, which we look for a 46. And we also have the ACT and SAT comparison scores. There are other courses you can take at Sinclair that don't have general, that do not have a prereq, like software applications, personal finance, and more. So the next steps for after you have a processed Sinclair application and My.Sinclair account would be registering for classes. We always recommend that students meet with academic advisors to talk about what courses they should register for and really get the most out of their dual enrollment credit. As a CCP student, they have benefits to all those same services as a traditional student, like academic advising, tutoring, clubs, activities, accessibility services, community engagement, and more. So some of our key deadlines are the letter of intent to participate that you would do through your high school contact. And then we also have a Sinclair application deadline of May 1st. Sinclair is open enrollment, but that is the deadline our College Credit Plus office sets for when we would like applications by. This allows us time to do rosters and for the applications to be processed on our end and for them to have time, for students to have time to register for their courses. Lastly, I just want to point out that CCP students do succeed at Sinclair. 75 students graduated with an associate degree before getting their high school diploma, so that's an awesome achievement I always like to highlight. One of them was even a junior in high school, and then the rest were seniors. We do have a 91% passing rate where the students get the college credit for the classes they are taking. That is actually a higher rate than the traditional Sinclair student. So this shows us that the CCP students are ready for the classes and the academic rigor. So they're mentally ready, socially, emotionally, and academically ready to take on CCP. And then this is my contact information. And I look forward to working with you, and let me know if you have any questions at the end.
All right. Thank you so much, Jillian. Really appreciate that. Next, but last but not least, is Miami University. And again, if you have questions or anything, please feel free to put them in the chat. I see that some folks are answering them, and I really appreciate that. And anything that they can't get to, I will go ahead and answer that afterwards. But all right, next we have up Alicia Justice. She's going to present for Miami University.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. I'm going to be super, super quick. Not quite 2 minutes, but we won't be much after 7. Most of this information is going to be the same for all of us. So I will highlight a few differences within Miami Regionals. First, our application process, and I'm sorry, I should clarify, Miami Oxford as well. So I do oversee the program out of Oxford and Regionals. But you will notice that our website and all of the links are going to be regionals websites. The regional campuses actually process the applications out of Oxford. So I will go over the differences in those campuses, but I am the direct contact for all things CCP at Oxford and regionals. Our application link is there, and I think it's in the last few slides as well, where you can navigate to our website. During the application process, you will upload your high school counselor's contact information, where they will then receive an email, and they can go in and upload your transcripts, which come directly back to us. We review that to see if you have eligibility, which matches the standard 3.0 GPA. If you do not, you'll receive an email letting you know we need test scores, and you can sign up for our AccuPlacer test right through that email process. You will receive next steps about orientation and advising via email. Our application deadline is April 1st for the summer, and we just recently extended both our fall and spring deadlines by a month. So our fall application deadline is June 1st, and the spring application is December 1st. So right now, for this current upcoming spring semester, we are still accepting applicants. Now, you would have needed to submit the intent form back in April of this year. So April of 2023, you would have had to let CPS know or your school know that you were planning to participate. But if you did that and never found a college that you wanted to participate in or still interested in applying, our spring application for this upcoming academic year is still open. That would begin in January. But that is a current open running application. Most of you are probably joining today because you're interested in participating next academic year, which the start of the academic year for CCP is summer term. Eligibility requirements are going to match standard. Again, you can come on our campus and take the AccuPlacer test. And we want to make sure that students realize that you need to be college ready. We believe that's more than just being academically ready. You will sign that mature content form during the application process, but you do want to consider things like time management and organizational skills. Which campus should I select? So like I said, I'm the contact for Oxford and regionals, but you do have to select a campus at the time that you apply. This can be a little bit confusing because we are one Miami, but there are different restrictions on registration for a degree-seeking students, which then requires that we have different criteria for our CCP students as well. So if you're interested in taking a class at the Oxford campus or one that is offered through Oxford, you need to select Oxford on the application. If you are interested in participating at one of the regional campuses or taking an online class, you would want to select the regional campuses. Although at Oxford, you can take online classes because Oxford students register so much later. Generally, those online classes out of the Oxford campus fill up pretty quickly, and CCP students are not able to register for those classes. But at regionals, we do have a much larger offering of online courses. So I would kind of take a look. Is it an Oxford in-person class that you're more interested in, or are you more interested in a regional or an online class? And if that is the choice that you would make, you would want to select regionals. If you have specific questions about where classes are offered or where you might want to take classes, I'm happy to answer those questions. But just know that the classes are all Miami courses. So it's not even, we don't even say they're transferable. It's already in our system. If Oxford is your long-term goal, you don't need to send regional transcripts to Oxford. You are already beginning your GPA as a Miami student. Quick plug about Miami Regionals. We are One Miami. We are just a college division of the Oxford campus, but we do have Oxford faculty that are teaching the students. At Regionals, we offer 15 unique bachelor's degrees and 9 associate's degrees. So many of our CCP students do choose to finish their entire 4-year degree right at Miami Regionals. It's a very small student to faculty ratio, 18-1. So it's going to feel a lot like you're in a classroom, not so much like the big lecture halls that you might experience at the Oxford campus, but your instructors are absolutely going to know your name, and they're going to know if you're trying to take a nap in the back of the classroom. That's truly why I stayed at Miami Regionals, is your faculty get to know you. It feels like you're in a small sort of tight-knit community, and I really find a lot of value in our faculty to student ratio at Miami Regionals. And we most recently have developed a regional scholarship for any of our CCP students that participate in CCP at Miami Regionals and continue as a degree-seeking student at Miami Regionals will automatically be eligible for a $2,000 year renewable scholarship. This is stackable with your automatic merit. With a merit scholarship, which many of our CCP students are merit recipients based off of GPA and test scores. So that is a stackable scholarship that you can get with our tuition cost, even without being eligible for any kind of grants or additional scholarships. The merit scholarship and the CCP scholarship almost cover the full cost of tuition for many of our CCP students. So happy to chat more about financial aid if you have questions. You can Google our degrees that we offer, but here's a quick glance at some of the degrees that we offer right there at Regionals. You can start and finish these degrees there. And here's my contact information. There's our website, my phone number, and I operate that CCP Regionals entity account. Also looking forward to working with you guys. We have a few new partnerships embedded within a few school districts. So talk with your counselors if Miami is something you're interested in, but going to a campus is not something you're ready to do. Talk with your counselors and they can let you know. We have a few offerings in Walnut, Spencer, and Euler. MU teaches expanding to multiple CPS schools. Sorry, my kids are off the chain in the other room. If you have any questions about your counselors or if your school district is partnering with Miami, just reach out to me and I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you so much. So that wraps up our partner presentations and just about the entire presentation. I have just a few more slides, but again, I want to say thank you so much to all 4 of our partners that presented tonight. So just really quick with these partners, here's some CCP information per institution. This is kind of just their general landing page for CCP at each of these institutions. So again, yes, I saw in the chat that some people asked, I'm going to be sending out this recording and I will be sending out these slides. So all of these links that are on here, you will have access to. Also, there are additional CCP info nights. So if your student goes to a CPS school, which they should if you're on this call, you can see the schools that would be hosting information nights and you can see the dates. But I would really suggest having you or your student reach out to the CCP coordinator for more details. So in order to do that, I did put the list here of your CCP coordinator and what school they're at. So that way you know who to contact. So again, you'll be given this presentation so you'll know who to reach out to if you do not have that information already. So now, before we roll into questions, I do have those few links there and then also the email address that you can contact the college team. There are 3 of us on the team, so you're welcome to email this college@cpsboe.k12.oh.us. And you all should have my email since I sent you the link, but I will also include that in the follow-up email as well. But now I'm going to go ahead and stop recording and then we can open the floor for questions. If you feel like you need to leave because it is after 7, I want to thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time tonight and the opportunity to talk with you. So again, thank you so much for being here, and be on the lookout either tonight or tomorrow morning for that follow-up email with the slides and the presentation recording. So again, we'll stick around for questions, but I am going to go ahead and stop the recording.